Normally I mix that a little better. Didn't have my other bucket in there, and don't know that it's 100% necessary today, but I try to mix the mash in with that cracked corn that I've been giving those hogs to just sustain them for another 20 days, 17 days or so till we get them to the butcher. But I'll put some water in that and it'll all kind of come together, and when you're slopping hogs, they're not going to be too concerned about it anyway. It's a full-blown winter wonderland out here today. Was it January the 3rd? January the 3rd, and we're getting that 2-part storm that's coming in. Snow today, cold tomorrow, another system coming in Sunday and Monday. So we're like to be buried up with some snow here in the next few days, and we've already got, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches today. We were out of town, and when we got back in town, there was just kind of an inch or so of snow on the ground, but it's starting to stack up a little bit here. Luckily, not a heavy wind right now, so maybe that'll keep the drifts down out in those roads. It looks like the cows got my fence knocked down and all kind of things going on, so it's going to be a little bit of an adventure here for a little bit. And you can see those girls all huddled there to the edge of that building. I did have access denied to that building with a strand of polywire, but apparently it wasn't hitting them enough to cause them to not want to bust through it. And I'm on some assumptions. It looks like from here that they've busted through it, so that's what we got ahead of us. Now, the Friday or Saturday before the new year, I was out here working in that building there, trying to build a coop for the chickens, a little more secure coop. We used to just use that building by itself, but the critters were getting in there, so I'm building a secure room in there, and then I'll readapt all the outside. But I left all my tools out. Well, not my tools, my sawhorses and some of my material. So, and you can see that it is drifting. So even with no wind or little wind, it is drifting through there. So it's going to be a nightmare. So luckily, there's not much hay left. Luckily or unluckily, there's not much hay left in this road. So I'm going to have to start feeding it out of the barn where Dottie is announcing her presence. So we got hay in that barn down there. We're going to have to start using that. I hope that you have found the new year to your liking so far. Even with this snow, still have a great positive outlook for the new year. Want to stick to some resolutions that I've made. I'm already 2 days behind on my Bible reading, so we got to get caught up on our Bible reading because we went out of town, and it kind of takes you out of your normal thing. But you just gotta stay focused. You gotta take you with you wherever you go. The parts that you want to take, leave what you're trying to escape behind. But if you want to keep your Bible reading and your workout, well, you got to keep that with you. The cold's eating that battery life up already, and it's not even cold yet. I mean, it's 20, I think it's 20 something degrees right now. Let's see, is it 20 something degrees? I thought my phone would tell me on top screen, but it didn't. It says it's 28 degrees right now. That's down the road a piece, so maybe it's 26 or so here, but it's going to get cold. If it gets down to the single digits, I can still handle that. It's just not near as much fun as it used to be. And you can already see, even with no wind, the wind is real gentle, but I guess it's just enough of wind. You can see the snow going sideways, just filling that trough up, that road. I call it the trough, filling that road up. It's got 3-4 feet of snow on the top side, and if we get these 2 or 3 storms in a row, that's what we're going to have. We're going to have a big... I have seen it in this particular pen in 2009 and 2012. The snow, well, all the way out through there, the snow was as tall as these buildings. The buildings were a wind buffer, and it kind of whipped it around, but we had we had 24 feet of snow that winter, and it just never melted away. So by the time February and March got here, we had a lot of snow. I walked around, and I had cows right here in this section right here, and I was feeding the cows, and it was the wind had created a buffer here where these buildings were, so you could walk your snowshoes out and get your hay and throw it over the fence right there. So we don't have that kind of winter. I hope we don't have that kind of winter. Still just not prepared, and that's just what you want to be. Got to work, because these events, we get lulled into thinking we're not going to get a winter, and we haven't had a winter for 5 or 6 years to speak of. Looks like we're shaping to get some this year, and we're going to have to work a little harder to get things done. There we go. And we're cooking with propane. How long I was recording? Is it recording now? It's recording now. And you know, other than just hearing me bemoan the situation, I just know now, as we look out across there, look at that snow. Now, see, I told you the wind wasn't blowing, but it is blowing. I don't know if that'll show up or not. But the wind is blowing. You can see it against these trees down here, maybe. The wind is blowing. And the problem is now, I know the snow's not going anywhere for at least a couple of weeks, and probably longer. So if this cold sets in, if we get a polar vortex, and I've been in the habit of taking advantage of snow thaw. Well, if we're in that time now where it's just going to snow and stick around, we're not going to get those 50-degree days to melt the snow for that extended period of time. Probably. It looks like that's the pattern that's setting up. So that's a little disheartening to me. So I don't want to bemoan that and just continue to talk about the snow all the time and the cold. I'm not afraid of the snow and cold. I've lived in it all my life. But it certainly does add some obstacles. I mean, when you can't even, I'm not sure what the camera's picking up, but Junko just tried to come see us. I can't even see really all the way to the pigs. I can't see to the wood line really great. So we get a few days of this and the cold sets in and snow doesn't go anywhere, then I may have to get those snowshoes back out again. And see, I think I spoke a little too soon on that wind, because it's actually, all that snow just shake off these fir trees down there, but pine trees, those are pines and firs. But it is blowing a good bit. So I spoke a little too soon. And really, I say all these things just to have something to talk about. I am complaining a good bit. But it's all for learning. It's an opportunity to learn. Almost walked past the water. It's an opportunity to learn to not make these mistakes in the future. How could you sneeze? In the winter time, there couldn't possibly be anything in the air. The hay, I guess. I stirred the hay up, caused myself to sneeze. But it's an opportunity to learn, to not make these same mistakes, and just a growing process. I've been swinging hammers for 30 years, from the time I was 15 till I was 45, 6. I've been swinging hammers. I can build a house from the ground up in my brain, and I know about all these things. I'm not completely dumb to the process, but I don't have the muscle memory to keep myself out of trouble. And I know how much trouble it is to wade through the snow. I should have just got things prepared. These are lessons to not go into, the end of 2025 and continue to make the same same mistakes, to learn the same lessons. Now, as you can tell, that frost proof is buried just a little bit far. It does get cold here, but probably not that cold. We have had frost get under some footers, and we typically try to go well, if you don't go 30 to 36 inches, you're in trouble. So if you get some 24-inch footers, it will go down below those. But you can see that thing is buried way too far, and it's pointed the wrong way, really. It needs to, I don't remember if I planted that before I built the fence or vice versa. Either way, I should have had that handle the other way. We'll see if we can get some water out of it to moisten up some of this feed. Let her soak down in there. I didn't bring my stirring stick. I may have to go. There's a fence post down there. We can stir it. You know what I'm going to do? I didn't want to, but I'm going to use that water hose because this is another lesson to learn. We drain them out. So we will hope that it is not froze. Sounds like she's going. So that turned out good. She wasn't froze, although it's not exactly happy. And we just kind of see, I have a stick at the house that works better than this fence post does to try to get that water to penetrate, and it's not going to do a good job. I'm just not going to do a good job today. But normally I try to wet that down to make it stick to the ribs a little bit better, make them a little happier, and give them a little moisture, because it's hard to keep water to the pigs all the way out here. So I'm sure no matter what we bring them, it's going to be froze. Wind coming across. I wonder, I got the little sniffling, that's unattractive, but I got that little thing on the mic to keep it from sounding so bad this time. Now that's not the way I normally do that. I'm in a bit of holiday survival mode still. It's not technically, I think there's a certain number of days, and since New Year's was on the Wednesday, I think that extends to the next Monday, so I'm not technically out of holiday phase yet, so I'm still cheating. But I gotta get this thing going, man. I can't be acting like this, you know what I mean? I mean, I got pigs screaming at me. I got cows screaming at me. Everybody's upset with this cold. And the best thing I didn't tell you about is if we get all this snow, I'm gonna have to, I didn't prepare a place for the pigs out there. So instead of getting the pigs closer to the house, here we are, still out back. Well, I'm not going to be able to get the truck and trailer out here to get these jokers. So hopefully we get another thaw. And if we get another thaw between then and the time they're going, I gotta get them out of here. Otherwise, I don't know how these guys are done. We've herded two before out of here, but we're gonna have to herd these cats all the way clear to the end of the property. It's 8 acres away. All the way out there to get them in the trailer, to get them to the butcher. So that's another fail. Now, lest you think all I want to do is complain, I am curious to know what your goals, what your New Year's resolutions are. I don't really like resolutions. I guess resolutions are kind of goals, but what are you resolved to do? What are you resolved to accomplish in 2025? I want to really put a full force effort into getting this place cleaned up finally. After 2023 and 2024 of just doing it piecemeal, I want to give it the full, the full adjustment, the full commitment of my attitude. And I want to continue to learn. I want to grow this thing. I want to get, some business going. We're still a ways off till we have some beef. We're going to have some pork here soon for ourselves and to sell. We're going to get back into the chickens as soon as the weather breaks. Those are some of the goals that I have. Goals, farm goals, homestead goals. I want to really try to make this my lifestyle and not be caught up with, I need to make some money, but I want to get caught up in the pressure of, I got to accomplish all these things, but I have some goals. I think a good goal is to have everything cleaned up that God has given me. You can't, of course, we're in a blanket of white snow right now, and I realized as I was editing some videos, white is a pretty boring background. We do got a little color with the cows down there and the fence post sticking up. I'm not saying it's not pretty, but it's not as exciting on video as the greens and the browns and all the colors that we have with the rest of the season. So hopefully you'll bear with me on this white screen. It's really harsh against the eyes when you watch it on especially if you watch it on a bigger screen like a computer or a TV. But I think it's good to have goals to clean up what God has gifted us. Look at that wind. I got things to do. This is a pretty exciting bit of green under where I had the barrel setting. So that's pretty nice. That's a nice little reminder of what's underneath all this white. Some nice green vegetation and life under there. Well, I hope I don't live to regret this, but I put the hay in this paddock. This property used to be an ostrich farm, and we have rebuilt the pens since then, but when we did the fencing the last time, and it was NRCS guided project, and we followed their plan, but now I don't even believe I believe in the ways, but we use polywire, and we have way better ways to break these pastures down, but they wanted all these pastures broke up. But when it was an ostrich farm, there were twice as many divisions. There was a building right there where that pole is. It burned down. Story for another day. But we had all these divisions in these pens for the ostriches to run in. So I put the hay in this pen. There's a fence between them, and it's hard to keep the electric around and all that because the fence gets against it. There's a ton of problems. Anyway, I'm going to let them into this pen. They're going to have access to this pen and the next pen over. And I did put some barriers up, and they probably won't push under the fence right now. But what happens is when they want grass and you don't have juice on it, they'll just push right under that field fence. That's the worst thing in the world. I don't know why anybody would ever want that. But I got to go over and start taking my polywire up and let these cows over on this side, let them to this hay, and then after this we'll feed them out of the barn down there, and either feed them directly out of the barn or roll the hay out below the barn, or some other plan that we'll have to come up with after today, maybe tomorrow. They may get through tomorrow with what I've thrown over to them. tomorrow or well, Sunday, tomorrow or Sunday, we'll have to get them set up to go below the barn. I know. And maybe we'll push the bull out this way. I left some hay there so we can feed him out of that bale that's there, so that we didn't completely mess ourselves up. Well, I was trying to use my video camera to record today to do a little experiment. But that battery gave up the ghost, and it's cold. It was supposed to last me for 2 hours. Of course, I've been close to 2 hours. So I haven't recorded for a solid 2 hours, but the cold zapped that thing. Old skunk face, you cold, brother. Cold. We need to get you. Well, you was in the form up there. We'll get you over here and let you eat a little bit. About you, Summer. Don't look at me like that. You're belligerent with me now. I'll tell you that right now. Now I'm about to go wrap this fence up before I let you over here, because you got to knock the fence down getting here. So, old skunk face, he might have to go somewhere else because he's a shivering. Nobody else is shivering like he is. We may have to help him out. What do you think, 26? Okay, let's get these girls over here and let's get something to eat. They're ready to get back inside. Well, I did take shelter from that old wind. It says it's, I didn't look at the feels like when I told you it was 28 when I first came out, which 24 feels like 12. I don't know about that. That wind is freezing me right quick. Had to put my hood up and try to cover my little face a little bit. Need to get my balaclava out to cover everything but my little eyes. And I need to find my gloves or get me a new pair of gloves. I had to change recording devices because my camera, like I said, went dead. So took shelter in the barn here, the building, not the barn. The barn down yonder. Took this building here because it's too windy out there, and y'all probably wouldn't be able to hear me no how. I'm so cold and my froze up face ain't barely freezing. Talking. Anyway, it's double froze. Bell's palsy froze and froze. But, hey, y'all be good out there. Love you.